So we had a question on what's Wing Chun, what's not Wing Chun. I did a clip on punch in the bag, which was just a couple of minutes of punch in the bag after training. So it was a basic clip, but what I was just showing is some of the way we move when we hit a bag. And obviously, a lot of people can see the Wing Chun in it, some people can't. We have some people that seem to be obsessed about Wing Chun. It has to be a straight line punch all the time. And some of the punches I was throwing weren't straight, so they were wondering why we're doing that. So rather than debate and argue something that doesn't make any sense, because the people that often have a lot to say don't put any clips up, I always think it's easy to show it, right? What we're doing about is function and using our art. We've had hundreds of guys that fight using MMA, boxing, fight in MMA and boxing and K1 using our Wing Chun, so it's proven how it works. Also, it's our Wing Chun. Our Wing Chun may be different than another Wing Chun. So no Wing Chun is right or wrong, as long as you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? So that whole argument that doesn't make sense. But some interesting comments about why we have round punches or punches at different angles. That's a relevant question, right? And I'm happy to show that, right? Wing Chun is not all about straight line punches, right? The first one you learn to hit straight, but you really learn to control the center, right? Okay. But if a person has their arms in the center, and I can't punch the center, so where am I going to punch? If I just punch a straight line punch to the center, she's going to defend that easily, right? So it's not like, and also learning the form is teaching you about your positioning and your movement, right? In our form, our body moves with our form, right? So we have a dynamic movement with our form, right? So our form is more alive than our movement. So when we move, our movement is alive, right? A lot of Wing Chun, these people talk about this sort of stuff, they're leaning back and they're marching forward and they're all stiff in their arms and shoulders. Wing Chun is not supposed to be stiff, it's supposed to be loose, right? So when you're doing your movement, your body should be alive and dynamic. Right? The body is not static, right? We don't have a static structure. Right? What we have is an architecture of movement and understanding. We design our system and then we use our system. When you look at striking, nothing is stiff and locked in your joints. All these bows have to be loose and the mechanics have to be viable to be used, right? If they're mechanically stiff and robotic, they're not going to work, right? So if someone has their hand in the way of my punch, I'm not going to just march in with a chain punch or just hit a straight punch leaning back. That's not going to work, right? I have to move, right? I have to give them a moving target to make them track me. When they're tracking me, they're going to make a mistake, hopefully, right? If they track me well, there's no mistake, right? So then I have to then cause something. So in the third form, you learn things to help you try to make them react and make them give you something, right? Okay? And then also, in terms of hitting high, low, kicking low to cause a reaction, hit high, opening stuff up. So everything is very dynamic, nothing's stiff, nothing's done in a straight line. There's no straight lines in nature, everything is curves that give the appearance of a straight line. So a lot of times you're bending the movement, you're bending the truth. So here, if I can see a shot in the middle, of course I can shoot down the middle, but if Ali's packs out that shot, and I know she is, and I'll go around that shot, inside that shot, I'll try to move and cause a shot to open something up. So my angles will change. So already my angle is changing. What makes it a Wing Chun punch is the fact that my shoulder's not stiff. Right? So I can punch out here, and when I hit, my shoulders will loose. And when I hit, I bring my elbow in, and I sink my hip, and I bring myself back into the center, right? Control weight. Okay? So that punch or that hit is still a Wing Chun hit. And you look at the form. The second form, you see the fang out, sinking, rising. So you see the curve movement, the bonks out, right? Your tad, everything is in flow movement. Uppercuts, twisting. So we punch at every angle, every movement, every punch. So my body generates the power. Mechanically, of course, my elbow and forearm can be very strong in a straight line. I just align that on impact. The key is to have loose, relaxed shoulders, relaxed joints. Okay? So that means I can punch from any angle. I can punch any angle, any position. This is my Wing Chun, right? Anywhere I hit, I can strike, right? I can strike from any position I want, right? There's no limitation on your striking position. There's no limitation on how you hit. The principle is in the shoulders not being tense. This would be an incorrect way to put, right? My shoulders tense. This is the Wing Chun way here. Relax, bring the elbow in. Right? Okay? Cover the elbow, right? I need to bring it out because she covered this whole line. There's nothing to hit here. So I need to open them up. Okay? So often you see me strike and I strike and I hit. I open someone up, put them off center. I've broken the center, I open up that strike. I pull them in, I open up the strike. Right? So there's a lot of movements that you'll see in our movements, our whipping punch, or breathing punch, or uppercuts. Right? Everything is about trying to disrupt that person's center of balance, make you stiff, relax your body. Right? So everything is very organic in how we move. All the spine, your hips, your joints, all the bows have to be dynamic. And you can see that in the form. Everything links into our movement in the form, right? Okay? And when we strike and move, everything here is not stiff. It's not stiff in your feet or all in your heels. Everything is dynamic. There's an ebb and flow. I have to feel their rhythm, feel their timing, so I can start to master their momentum and master the force flow, right? Feel their position, right? Their potential. When I'm touching, it's much more tangible. So you push towards me, I can feel movement, I can control power, right? I can release through my body, right? I can return, I can eject, right? I can draw in, I can move someone around. When we haven't got contact yet, I can still feel that. When she moves forward, moves back, I can still feel it. When she punches towards me, I can still feel where her strike's coming from. I can still feel where's the potential for movement, right? So all that stuff comes from your forms, from having that organic movement, from having the force flow, controlling all the bows in the body, right? And not being stuck in one way of thinking, right? Not being stuck that it's all in a straight line, it's all a straight punch. That's a very limited way to think.